Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rogue Wave podcast, the frequency for all things pop culture and the disruptors behind it. We talk comics, movies, TV, and pop culture every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook.com/Rogue Matter Podcasts. Download the podcast immediately following the live stream on all major podcasting apps, or go to RogueWavePodcast.com to subscribe on Apple Podcasts. That's Rogue Wave without the E at the end of wave. Join the movement. Go Rogue. RogueMatter.com. I'm your host, Michael Dolce, as always, joined by my co-host extraordinaire, the Lord of the live stream. I didn't mean to do that. I was going to call you Lord of the Radio, but I didn't. I called you live stream. See, we got.
I don't know why you make this so hard. Every week is so hard. It's just one
sign,
thing. It's just one stupid thing.
Now it's days since our last accident is back down to zero. And that really was actually, I really was.
What do you mean hour?
Well, we're a company.
I don't share
a company of two.
All right.
We're
yeah.
a company of two.
Okay.
Mr.
Right.
Hassan Godwin, how you doing, sir?
I gotta share your mistakes.
Yes.
I'm great. I was great till 4 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And now I'm back to being relegated to being dead named.
That's right.
You can't dead name me. Don't dead name me.
That's right. You like our studio setting
Fine.
now? We're in a studio now. We were overlooking.
Yeah, man. This is palatial.
Now we're in the basement.
Yes,
I like it.
But I mean, it's an insulated basement with sound padding and stuff like that. So I mean, it's professional. It's professional.
I like it.
Really important to be professional.
So tonight,
I didn't say I liked it, but I don't like anything. So don't worry about it.
So tonight is a very special episode of Rogue Wave. First of all, it's our 49th episode. So it's our 49th episode spectacular. Next week's 50.
Wave.
Yep.
It's our 1,000th episode of you and I.
Yes, possibly. Possibly. Yes.
It's a 49th episode of Rogue Wave. Oh wow, that's impressive.
That's not bad, right?
That's very impressive. That's not bad. That's good. That's good news.
We welcome Time Trader backer Matthew Garnett. He backed the Time Trader Kickstarter from Rogue Matter. And he backed the reward that put you on the podcast. And he's a friend of mine. I've known him for a few years now, and he's backed a whole bunch of stuff I do at Snyder Studios as well too. So he is just a loyal backer when it comes to the stuff that I do. But he has an amazingly inspirational story about how comics helped get him through dealing with cancer as a child. So really excited to have him on.
Can't beat that. Can't beat that.
No, yeah, it's going to be really exciting. He has a fund that he, a charity that he works with called the Susan Fund. We'll give you guys information on how you can donate to that, and that deals with, again, childhood cancer. So we're helping, as opposed to the selfish things that we normally do on this show, we're actually giving back, and that makes me feel.
It's all just we. I don't do anything selfish. I do, everything I do is charitable. Everything I do is honorable. You do the selfish stuff.
I hear
you.
You. Well, that's exactly what I do. We're also giving you the Rogue.
It's time that came out. It's time we got that out. I'm just saying. Just saying. Go ahead. Go on with your spiel. Yeah.
We are giving you the Rogue Rage segment later on as well too. So from now on, it is going to be Hassan's Rogue Rage, or Rogue Rage, sponsored by the Lord of the Radio, Hassan Godwin.
Yeah, this will be a fiasco. It's going to be great.
I think so.
It'll be the worst mistake either of us made.
We're always keeping ourselves on our toes and our listeners. But first, we want to talk. I want to talk the SnyderCut trailer 2.
Yeah.
And why it made me want to watch this movie so much less. And you would think it's got all this new footage. It's got Joker talking to Batman. It's got black suited Superman lighting up his eyes. It's got all this extra footage we have not seen before. It's got Darkseid and Steppenwolf invading Wonder Woman's homeland. That I'd be like, wow, this is really great. But I actually watched it, and I gotta tell you, Snyder fatigue, it's real. Like, it's just real at this point. Like, I'm looking at this movie. And maybe it's because...
Why don't you, explain Snyder fatigue for the uninitiated, please.
I will.
Please.
Maybe it's because of more negative press that's come out, or more people coming out about Joss Whedon in a hostile work environment, kind of supporting Ray
Joss
Fisher.
Whedon's negative press about Joss Whedon has given you Snyder fatigue.
Hang on.
That's what it sounds like you're saying.
I didn't get there yet.
I know, but I'm just saying you
Maybe
lead
it's
in
contributing
like
to it. Because
your
part of what that
is
is
like weird.
has rehashed in conjunction with watching this trailer, the fiasco, to use your word, which I like, in 2017, what Warner Brothers ended up doing with this movie to begin with. Like, let's rewind. Let's pretend Joss Whedon never touched Justice League. Let's pretend we are coming off Batman v Superman in 2016, which was an unmitigated disaster in the sense of it was super long, it was super dark, it was so many different players in this movie, where maybe if it was just a Batman and Joker movie, it might have been good. Maybe if it was just a Superman movie, it would have been good.
Ironically, I liked Batman versus Superman. However, it's not a good movie.
Right.
It's weird. It's one of those things where like I enjoyed it, but it's terrible.
You can separate yourself from all this stuff, right?
I try. I do my best.
I mean, I do this all the time, right? I sit there and go, that's a terrible movie. I'll watch it anytime because I love it. But I understand that it's not,
it's not a great movie.
Or great movie, right? You could maybe argue it's a good movie, but you definitely can't argue it was in the annals of superhero movies.
It's not well constructed. It's not very well put together. It's not it's not a good movie. It's not a good story.
Right.
So, whatever you want to call that.
Yeah. And so all of a sudden I'm watching this trailer and I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. I've been here before. We did this before Joss Whedon destroyed the movie even further. Although maybe when we get to see the actual Snyder cut, we will think twice about that. Maybe Joss Whedon's terrible.
Hey, here's what I insist you do while you go through this. Since we're separating our segments and stuff like that now, you got to stop saying we, because I've not included this. These are your takes on it. Okay.
Well, I
will gladly share with you what my take is once you've established your take, but don't say we.
Got it. Okay.
Not yet.
Fair enough.
Not yet.
Fair enough.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm listening.
So maybe all this combination of it and watching it has made me remember just how long and drawn out Batman v Superman was, and how little I was really looking forward to the Justice League movie, because again, we got a Man of Steel movie that was okay. We then I got a Man of Steel movie that was okay.
No.
I got a Batman v Superman movie that was less than okay and very Snyder-esque. And again, very, very dark. The color scheme is dark. It's quote unquote gritty. It's Batman acting a certain way that I'm not exactly sure I agree with. It's, why did Superman have to die when Wonder Woman could have been the one throwing the spear, because it doesn't affect her in any way, shape, or form to throw the spear that will kill Doomsday. Why is Doomsday even in?
She couldn't fly.
Why is Lex Luthor acting like Joker? Why not just get why not get a Snyder version of Batman versus Joker, which might have been
there's plenty you can say about Batman versus Superman that I could absolutely not argue with.
All of those memories were coming back to the point where I'm watching this trailer thinking, wait a minute, I'm going to have to sit through a movie I've already seen from a creator who I didn't think very highly of because of his last two movies. And this is not a fresh slate. This is a continuation of said two movies. And now they've just pretty much put all of the information, like all of the new stuff, like how much new stuff are we really going to get in a 4-hour movie? To top it all off, Warner Brothers seems to have Snyder fatigue as well, because this was supposed to be an episodic adventure, which I think would have been more palatable already. I haven't even seen anything yet. But now we're not going to get an episode. We're going to get 4 hours of this. So Batman v Superman was 3 hours of, holy cow, is it time? Can I get out of here yet? To now we're going to be sitting for 4 hours, and I'm watching this going, I've just watched all the new stuff I'm going to need to watch. Like, there's nothing in this that's going to all of a sudden alter my feelings on this movie. And we are going to be left with both a Snyder cut that is awful, and we're going to be left with a Joss Whedon cut that is different and awful. And I am going to have wasted 7 hours of my life. So that is my take. That is what I felt watching this, to the point where I've got it. I've got Snyder fatigue. And I'll let you do your take, and then I'll tell you why Warner Brothers seems to already have Snyder fatigue in a second. Go ahead.
There is this other aspect that you're not really focusing on, though. Unfortunately, it's you don't have to watch it. You could just not watch it. I mean, I know that would ruin the rant, and in which case, this whole segment is useless. But I mean, nobody's.
What are we gonna do in March 18th?
Nobody's coming in with a gun,
calendar.
man.
First of all, let's look at our calendar. When is March 18th? Because that is a Thursday, so it's dropping on a Thursday. Is that am I correct on that? March 18th. Snyder Cut release date. Yep. It will arrive on March 18th. So on that Thursday. So at least we get a whole week. we get a whole week because our podcast is on a Wednesday. To preview, we're going to preview the hell out of that thing. So that's going to be exciting. We're going to get this rant all over again. So stay tuned. But then that following Wednesday, we can give our unadulterated cuts at that point. I mean, it'll have been out for that full weekend for free on people's couches. So we can come March 24th. We get to sit here and discuss our thoughts on this. So yes, I don't have to watch it, except I will be here March 24th, and we will basically have to give our take. So I would think the audience would appreciate if I watched it.
Yeah, I don't know. Who knows what the audience would think? I mean, the audience is going to have to suffer through listening to you whine about, and I don't mean this in a negative way, but I mean, you can't say whine in a nice way, right? The audience is going to have to sit there and listen to you whine about how you don't want to see it many weeks before the film even comes out. So I don't know. I don't know how obligated to the audience you are at this point. Once you've already denigrated the film in and of itself, it's your right to do so. I don't necessarily disagree, but then I don't agree. Because all we've been complaining about for the last, I don't know how long, is that there's no content. Now there's content coming out. Now there's this like a substantial super event of 4 hours worth of superhero movie coming out for everybody to feed on. And people need to feed on it. We're gonna talk about the depleted state of our, of our, I don't know, our punditry for entertainment as we go on with this show about like various other things like Wandavision and stuff like that. So I get it that you might have trepidation about the film in and of itself. It's reminding you, it's, bringing up bad memories and stuff like that. The movie touched you in a bad way, and then you're figuring out how it feels on the doll, about like whether or not you want to go back into that arena again. I understand.
Yeah.
But from a business standpoint, this is your dream, right? It's something monstrous and huge to be able to talk about on a regular basis, and we could get weeks and weeks and weeks of content on it. So from a purely mercenary point of view, you should be thrilled about this. You're even making hay about it to create content about it here by claiming that you've seen the trailer and that's made you not want to see it, and that's a topic of interest that you are now.
Oh, one way or the other, we will have. Yeah, so, we're gonna have stuff to talk. Like that's the thing,
I don't
right?
understand.
Like one way or the other, the snowstorm is coming. We're gonna.
So I don't
understand
why. I don't understand why you're trying to shut it down before it even gets here. You're trying to shut the storm down before it even gets here, and you're the only one in town with a snowblower. That's like doesn't make any sense. It makes no sense. So
I'll read you this article real quick. Justice League. Zack Snyder says Warner Brothers has no interest in sequel. It's been a long road for Zack Snyder from heroic Hollywood as they fought to get Justice League released in the way the filmmaker originally intended. And although many have expressed an interest in seeing more films from the timeline Snyder's exploring, it doesn't seem like Warner Brothers is interested in bringing Justice League 2 to the screen. He revealed what he had planned for the characters like the Joker, saying he's spoken to Jim Lee about continuing the story in some form. But when speaking to iMinuteman on YouTube, Zack Snyder explained there's no interest and or appetite to do more of these movies from Warner Brothers. Since the grand new trailer for the film teased the likes of Darkseid, Desaad, and Granny Goodness, many fans are understandably disappointed there won't be an opportunity to explore these characters further, but at least the first film is getting released. The reality is, as he quoted, as far as I know, there's no interest or appetite to do any more of these movies. From Warner Brothers, with me anyway, I didn't think finishing this film would ever happen, but I did do my best to, as far as the creation of the Justice League, those different personalities being brought together, that idea, that's what this movie is about. So,
yeah, but who cares?
And he already said too that Warner
don't...
Brothers, we leaked. Warner Brothers says this is a
Warner Brothers is going to change their mind as soon as if this movie explodes and they make some kind of then they'll change their mind on a dime. If it doesn't, then it'll be exactly as it is. Who cares what Warner Brothers says? I mean, why is that a factor in your decision making? You know,
I don't disagree with that, but I think it's one of those things where they're having buyer's remorse already. Like they've seen bits.
Why?
They're like, well, this was
so then don't watch it.
Invest all that money.
I don't know.
They invested new money into it. I mean, it's not as if they're just showing a cut, right? Like they invested the money to have this cut.
It's not Zack Snyder's fault. It's their fault. They came to him and said, "Hey, we want you to do this. We want this to be a thing since it's been trending." He said, "All right, I'll do it."
Yeah.
And I'm gonna put my foot in it. That's basically what he did.
Yeah.
So if they have buyer's remorse, that's not his fault. That's their fault. It could have been left alone. They opened up the coffers for that. So, maybe it's bad. It was a bad movie to begin with. Maybe it is, but I mean, it's not like none of us are going to see it.
Right.
See, but everybody's trying to hedge their bet right now. I guess I get it. I don't really begrudge anybody their feelings on whether or not it's going to be good or not. Pretending like you're not going to see it, which is not what you're doing. But I'm just some other people are like pretending they're not going to see it. That's BS, because it's going to be fodder for everybody to be able to talk about. You're not going to be able to avoid it, especially if you're in the industry.
Right.
And everybody around you starts talking about it. You're going to have to see it and then you're going to get the begrudging like tweets and on Facebook comments like, I felt obligated to see this just to blah, blah, blah. So I could do this. And it's the same crap as usual. Look, it's either going to be good or it's going to be bad. Right. Definitely something we're going to watch. It's something we're going to talk about for months and months and weeks and whatever. What it is that's kind of wonderful is that it's an opportunity to revisit work from the past. It's an opportunity to do retakes. It's not a new thing because there've been people there. There's the Donner cut for Superman 2. There's the guy, I forget the name, the original director for I think it's Payback with Mel Gibson. They re-released his original version of the film after he got kind of moved off of it for various controversial reasons, and it's a completely different film. The last quarter of it is completely different. So I mean, it's been done. We've been here before. We've had directors come back, and I mean, look, Ridley Scott literally made a career of retaking Blade Runner, right? So
right.
That's nothing new, but it is unprecedented that a studio is going to put X amount of money behind it to make a movie that they've already made money and lost money on, a showcase event all over again, and rehashing it. And look, some people look at it as opportunity to redo things like the prequels for Star Wars or the sequels for Star Wars. There's always speculation and talk like that. To me, that would be more of an interesting topic of conversation. Not to say that your feelings on it are not valid. I just think I can't 100% engage with you on it because we haven't seen it. I mean, if I saw it, I'm like, yeah, I don't know why they did that, man. I have no idea what the heck that idea came from. That was the biggest. The biggest flush down the drain of money I have ever seen in my life. Right. I would be with you 100%, but we haven't seen it yet, and there's no chance we're not going to see it unless something cataclysmic happens to the point where we are physically unable to see it. So I hear you, but you're on your own on that one.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Did you like the Joker?
It is what it is.
Did you like Jared Leto's Joker?
I mean, it looks like Jared Leto with on a bad lipstick day. I mean, it doesn't do much for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, it depends on what they do with him. The Joker's kind of hard. Joker's like Darth Maul, right? It's hard to not make him look interesting. He's always going to look interesting. Right. The visual aesthetic of the Joker is, it's outlandish. It's designed to be eye catching and shocking, distracting, enticing, whatever your proclivities on that. But I mean, as Heath Ledger showed us, it's not really how you look, because Heath Ledger's Joker wasn't even that interesting looking. It was Heath Ledger with a little bit of prosthetic makeup on his face and green hair with white makeup on. It wasn't like, I mean, if you look at Joaquin Phoenix, he actually had clown makeup. He actually had well done clown makeup. It's completely different. But I mean, look at Heath Ledger. You compare Joaquin Phoenix's Heath Ledger to, Joaquin Phoenix's Joker to Heath Ledger. In my book, there's no comparison. I love Joaquin Phoenix. I love what he did, but it wasn't the Joker, in my opinion.
Right.
It was a guy trying to be the Joker, in a movie, in a tragic movie about mental illness.
Yeah.
So Jared Leto, I was not unimpressed with him in Suicide Squad. He was interesting. I thought he was interesting. He is currently my least interesting Joker in my book.
Tell Victoria Rao.
Huh?
Don't tell Victoria Rao.
I won't.
I'm just kidding. She's probably
I don't care.
For those,
those
who did not hear last episode, Victoria Rao is a very successful comic book and screenwriter, and
she's entitled to
Jared Leto as
her
her second favorite Joker, and we acknowledge that
she's entitled to it. But I mean,
actually, I had no problem with his Joker in Suicide Squad because it was so different. Watching it here,
but it was just there wasn't much to it.
No, there wasn't. I agree that they should have had more scenes with him in it, but I actually kind of liked it. I don't disagree. Actually, I enjoyed his Joker in Suicide Squad just because it was a complete contrast to what we had seen before. This one kind of seemed a little bit more along those lines of Heath Ledger, and again, it just ultimately, I'm like, all right, I guess.
That's why there shouldn't be all this crazy fanfare on trailers. That's the detriment to the industry in and of itself. It gets a lot of engagement, gets people tweeting and stuff like that. But also, you could be tired of the product before you even get to see it.
Right.
Especially if you're one of these people who tries to trade off of that, as an aspect of of reality. It's not. Yeah. You're going to see it. So let's not act like they don't already have your money.
Yeah.
Let's not pretend. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah. All right. Well, what do you guys think? What did you think of the trailer? Do you have Snyder fatigue? Did you have Snyder fatigue? Are you still psyched up to see this? Do you think you're going to see something new? Comment in the Facebook chat. Again, if you download the podcast after the fact, we will still comment on the Facebook chat on Rogue Matter podcasts, facebook.com/Rogue Matter podcasts. When we come back, a piece of content we are excited about and have some more questions. WandaVision. Are we seeing what we think we're seeing? And we will discuss exactly what that question means when we come back.
Welcome to Button Stash, the show about the best mustaches in gaming.
Casey, it's Button Smash. It's the new gaming podcast from the Rogue Matter Network. I don't know where you got mustaches from.
Well, I'm not shaving. But we will talk about gaming news, reviews, inside scoops, and retrospectives.
Join us live on twitch.tv/WeAreRogueMatter on Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, or download our episodes wherever you listen to your podcast.
But please, Casey, shave.
Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast, the frequency for all things pop culture and the disruptors behind it. Check out the Button Smash podcast. It's the newest podcast to join the Rogue Matter Podcast Network. They stream live every Thursday, 9 p.m. on twitch.tv/We Are Rogue Matter. We got some cool plans for that podcast too, laying the groundwork for some big events coming up in the next few months. So definitely check them out. And also check out the Court Kickstarter from Rogue Matter. I think today is the final day. Or tomorrow, the Thursday. I forget which day it is, but you can go check it out. I think it is, officially over tomorrow. So it is an illustrated novel from Jibba Anderson. We had him on the show last week. Great guest, longstanding comic book history. So definitely check that out. All right. Not as excited for Snyder Cut. Very excited for every episode of WandaVision that comes out. And watching last week, what was... I'll do it. Actually, I won't ask you for your reaction right off the bat. I'll give you my reaction. Sometimes when they drop a big bomb, and hey, spoilers. Oh, I did it right this time. Spoilers if you haven't caught up on the last 2 episodes of WandaVision. When you drop a big bomb like Evan Peters showing up as Quicksilver, and he was the actor from the X-Men Universe and Fox X-Men Universe showing up in the MCU.
He was the X-Men equivalent of
correct.
Of Quicksilver. You gotta say it right. He was. That's the significance of him. He played Quicksilver in the X-Men movies, whereas the Kick-Ass guy played Quicksilver in the MCU movie.
And he was never known as Quicksilver. He was like Pietro. I don't think they ever called him Quicksilver.
They never called him Quicksilver
in the MCU. When you drop a bomb, it's tough to follow up with the same level of. I don't want to use the word surprise or shock, but like that, that rush you get of like, wow, I can't believe they did this, or I can't believe how they did this, or I believe it, but it's still, kind of shocking. Whenever there's a shock like that, the next episodes tend to always not be able to live up to the same. At least I find that they don't live up to the same, kind of hype. However, I liked that we're getting more answers in this episode, so I was pretty excited. So, and there were like micro bombs in this one, that in this particular episode that we, cumulatively almost equal the macro bomb of just seeing Evan Peters there. So my initial reaction to this was this show just keeps hitting on all cylinders, keeps firing the right buttons. There is the cheesy trope that somehow, although the FBI agent is an FBI agent, when they can somehow disarm armed people, who are escorting them out of the building. But that's look, we've seen that in countless shows and movies. That was the only time I'm like, all right, I guess so. But other than that, I thought it was like such a solid episode, and we're starting to get more answers to the questions that were posed originally. And what was your initial reaction to the episode?
I mean, I enjoyed it. I'm enjoying the entire, but for me, it's like an ongoing experience of it. It's not like a week to week, like, oh, holy crap. It's just another piece of the puzzle as far as I'm concerned.
I think also it was kind of neat, the Malcolm in the Middle. One day when this is all over, we got to go back and see which sitcom is the most direct, because I know it's kind of taking bits and pieces of several different sitcoms, but I thought this one was real blatantly the Malcolm in the Middle episode, right?
Yeah, I didn't get it because I never watched Malcolm in the Middle, so I mean, I wouldn't have understood any of the
it was, and I'm curious because I was wondering if they were going to make that the 90s one or the 2000s one. Maybe they'll do a Modern Family or an Office. Like, wouldn't that be great if the next episode is like The Office? Because that would be, I guess, the sitcom of the 2000s. If we were to put one, maybe that or Modern Family, but they both have the same, confessional room kind of stuff. So I feel like next episode that we're going to watch tomorrow, or Friday technically, is going to be like an Office mimicry. And then I wonder if the episode 8 is just the end, right? Like, I don't know if there is a definitive 2010 sitcom. Is there? Can you think of a definitive 2010 sitcom that they could kind of mirror the show off?
I don't watch sitcoms, so I can't.
Maybe
really.
Big Bang
I don't
Theory,
know. Maybe. Yeah.
but that's a
I was
traditional,
just about to say that one.
right? Like maybe that's maybe that's it. Maybe that'll be the one they do for the last episode. But I like the Malcolm in the Middle stuff. I liked all that stuff. I like all the pieces now. Vision, in this episode, again, spoilers, but I did it at the beginning, so I did it right already. Vision is testing the boundaries, literally, of Wanda's bubble, of the bubble that has been created.
What we suspect is Wanda's bubble.
That's what I was gonna say. Thanks to her powers, but maybe not because of her. Who knows? Although she seemed to exit back and forth as if she knew that she had done it. And we see that outside that bubble.
She's mentioned a couple of things that seems to indicate that she's aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
She even asked Pietro if he didn't think it was wrong.
Right.
When she,
right.
She's like, you don't think this is a little wrong? And he's like, nah, I'm all for it. Whatever.
Yeah. Right. So when Vision exited the bubble, I mean, he basically went back to being dead Vision. Right? Did I misinterpret that? But I essentially
sort of, but not quite. I mean, he didn't revert back to his like gray, dead robot Optimus Prime corpse,
right.
Kind of situation. But it looked like he was losing. He was diminishing physically, like
right.
as though he's not real at all.
Yeah,
like he only exists, inside the bubble.
Right. And so that was, again, not an answer, but now, again, another piece of the puzzle of, okay, yeah, obviously he can't just step outside the bubble and he's alive again. Right. I mean, it seemed as if, that was answered. Evan Peters,
so far.
Quicksilver, also kind of, the stuff with Agnes was interesting though, right? Because we keep suspecting that Agnes is Agatha Harkness and that she is somehow
not we.
I suspect that Agatha Harkness, that she's Agatha Harkness, and that she is somehow in on what is happening. And again, this could be a misdirection. But when Vision finds her and kind of does his little zappy thing to get her back to who she really was, she was just as freaked out as the coworker was when Vision did that the episode.
Yeah,
before.
She said she got lost, and then suddenly she can't.
Right.
Like she got a little too close to the border, and then where Wanda's reach isn't as potent, I guess, or whatever. So, yeah. So it seems. Yeah, I mean, look, it's very interesting.
Yeah. So I mean, little droplets like that, and then finally, Evan Peters is Quicksilver. There was a flash of him being a zombie. Flash of him having the bullet holes, which is not what ends up happening to the X-Men's Quicksilver. X-Men's Quicksilver is okay and alive. And he does mention, he's like, one day I got shot in the street and the next, I'm here.
I mean, he's still supposed to be,
right.
He's supposed to be the MCU Quicksilver.
Right.
As far as she's concerned, it's just that he doesn't look right. So it's, that the anomaly is the way he looks, but he's still gonna be trying, and regardless of what he's trying to do, whether he's doing it on purpose or whether something else is controlling him, he's still going to continue to, present himself as as the Pietro from the MCU from Age of Ultron.
So the question I have for you is, real or not real? Is this the MCU Quicksilver and it's a sight gag, or is this really what we suspected, or what I suspected was the merging or the beginnings, the breadcrumbs of merging the Fox X-Men universe with the MCU, and that is really the Quicksilver from the X-Men universe brought in to the MCU. At this point, I know we don't know. What would your what?
I don't know, and I don't care. Don't care.
What do you mean you don't care?
Don't care. Don't give a hoot. I don't care. I will. I know you care. It's fine that you care. I will wait until it reveals itself. I don't care. Part of the enjoyment for me is not knowing. And all this, I think it is. I think it's. I think it's George Jefferson. I mean, I don't care. I can't stand this aspect of this business. Where it's just this. We just got this trailer. What do you think is inside this trailer? What do you think is going to happen? It's like, well, it's a movie, right? I'm going to pay about $20 to go see it, right? Sit down. What I want to do is examine every inch of this little piece of celluloid fantasy that they've given me, and I want to overanalyze and dissect it to the point where nothing surprises me or interests me while I'm sitting down after I've paid my money to enjoy the film in and of itself. And that's the same with the show. It's like the spoiler alert for the end of The Mandalorian, right? If I knew Luke Skywalker was going to show up, that would have sucked. It would have sucked. It would have sucked. The experience I have, there are things that I knew about, didn't think they were going to do it. Maybe they won't do it. Maybe, we talked about the X-Men's Quicksilver showing up in WandaVision. They talked about it in passing, right? So when he showed up, I was like, oh, they did do it. Even though I thought, well, that's a rumor, but we don't know if they're going to do it, right? But it's not on the same caliber as Luke Skywalker appearing. But if I absolutely have no clue that was going to happen, I'd be like, what? WTF? What is this about? That would be much more engaging for me, right? So personally, I just expel myself from all this stuff because it is not. It does the most important thing. I don't give a damn what my what level of intrigue that I hold in this outside milieu of discussing and analyzing movies and TV shows and stuff like that. I don't really give a damn about that personality. The most important thing to me is the visceral experience I have while experiencing these things for the first time. And I don't condemn the practice. I just think the practice is stupid, and I don't want anything to do with it. So I understand why people do it. I understand. It's fine. It's good. Have at it. I am not going to join because I don't want to know.
I agree with what you're saying, but I also would sit there and say that when you're given a binary choice in terms of speculation, in terms of what we think is going to happen, I don't think it diminishes the end result, right? Because literally in this particular case, this is almost like
you can't speak for me though. You can't say it doesn't diminish it for me.
But I'm also saying that I don't see how it will diminish the result if
I don't see how you can see a trailer for a 4-hour superhero movie and decide you don't want to see it. I don't understand that either.
It's playing Tampa Bay in the Super Bowl, and someone asks me, "Who do you think's going to win?" And I say, "I think Kansas City's going to win." Then I'm either right or I'm wrong. But it didn't diminish the how Tampa Bay ends up beating Kansas City. For the record, I actually picked Tampa Bay.
This is going to be a problem. I think it's going to come as a tremendous shock to you, but we're different people.
I understand, but if
whatever your speculation is,
if someone said to you,
fine.
do you think the guest is going to be Quicksilver or not? Then I almost in a sense, I could say, if
someone showed me a 10-minute trailer of a 4-hour superhero movie, I'd be like, I'm in to see it. I wouldn't be like I've got fatigue.
It felt like 10 minutes.
I've got fatigue. It didn't feel like 10 minutes. Only a moron would think that it was 10 minutes.
Hours. I was like, is this the end of the trailer? Are we done yet?
There you go. See, that would go a long distance to show the vast differences between the two of us. And thus, when I say that this is how I feel about something, it's weird to question it because we're different people. So of course you're going to see it very differently. I personally told you I didn't hold anything against you not wanting to see this particular film.
I'm just merely saying but you in a certain sense.
No, you don't. You actually said, I don't understand how, this actually diminishes your ability to enjoy X, Y, whatever. It's just because the Tampa Bay Monkeys did this, and when someone said this in the Super Bowl, it wouldn't diminish it if they actually did score a touchdown. But I don't know, whatever. That's fine if you feel that way. Right. That's fine. I don't feel that way. I don't care if it's Mephisto. I don't care if it's Kit Fisto from Star Wars. I really don't. I don't care. I want to see it. And when it is over, I'll be like, that worked. That didn't work. That's how I feel about it. So we're fine that that's how you feel about it.
So let me ask you a question. We'll wrap on this. When this is all done, would I be able to ask you a question and say your own, without revealing it, because you haven't revealed it, did it match what you thought was going to happen? And you'll be able to answer that, or you'll be able to say, no, I didn't think anything was going to happen.
I'm telling you right now, without lying, because I don't need to lie about this. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not thinking about I'm not speculating what's going to happen. I'm letting them tell me the story.
Okay.
They told me, we have an interesting story to tell you about X. And I decided from hearing it, okay, that's interesting enough for me to sit down and watch it. And thus, I will decide at the end of it whether it was interesting enough for me to watch it or whether I should have skipped it. That's all I will be able to tell you. I have no thoughts about it whatsoever.
All right.
Other than I'm enjoying it so far.
What do you guys think? I would imagine you're enjoying it, but maybe you're not.
What do you guys think? And why? And how much do you think I care about what you think? That's the next thing I would like.
Do you think it's the X-Men's Quicksilver? Do you think it's the MCU's Quicksilver dressed like the X-Men's Quicksilver? Is it Mephisto in disguise? We didn't even get into that. We don't need to. When we come back, Hassan will be taking over Rogue Rage and all the rage in the pop culture universe, brought to you by Hassan when we come back. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast, the frequency for all things pop culture and the disruptors behind it. We've got super time trader backer Matthew Garnett coming up in the next segment, but first we're changing things up. We're always trying to keep things interesting. I'm trying to do less work and keep things more interesting. So I figured the best way to do that would be to hand over Rogue Rage, all the rage in the pop culture universe, over to Hassan going forward. This is whatever Hassan wants to rage about.
You don't feel like looking for news anymore. That's basically what that means.
I still feed it.
I mean, you're tired of looking for news.
I want to give you the illusion of control over what happens in this podcast. Let's do it. This is it.
All right. Did you know that Ryan Johnson's Star Wars trilogy is still a go?
I did not know that. I did not.
Neither did I, and I don't think it's real. But basically, as far as the news is concerned, Ryan Johnson has reportedly confirmed that his Star Wars trilogy is still happening, though there aren't any dates or timelines for the project, which basically would happen if something was definitely happening, and then someone was going to throw hundreds of millions of dollars at it. There would be absolutely no timeline for it whatsoever. Don't you think? Doesn't that make sense?
Yes.
As far as you're concerned?
Yes.
The filmmaker
who
directed Star Wars.
Is he just basically just saying this just to
I'll
keep
get to it. I'm about
relevant?
to tell you. Tell you how it's all going to happen. I'm going to tell you how it's all going to go down. I'm going to be there for you. The filmmaker who directed Star Wars: The Last Jedi, which is the last Star Wars movie that was that I will ever watch, as far as I'm concerned. The middle chapter of Star Wars, the sequel trilogy, recently sat down for an interview with author Saria Wilson. Who subsequently confirmed on Twitter that Johnson's previously announced Star Wars trilogy is still in the works.
Okay.
It's not, though. It's not. I don't think it is. Oh, my package just around. All right. Wilson said it has no dates or timelines because Johnson has other projects going on, but it's still happening. And news of Johnson's Star Wars trilogy first emerged in 2017, and when it was reported that he would be writing and directing the first of 3 new Star Wars movies alongside his longtime collaborator, Ram Bergman, and who was on board to be producer. It was understood that the trio of stories would introduce new characters from a corner of the galaxy that Star Wars lore has never before explored.
The lame quarter.
But then Ryan Johnson became the most pilloried and hated human being on the planet as far as the Star Wars perspective was, and thus we stopped hearing about the trilogy whatsoever.
Yeah,
and many of us rightfully suspected that we would never be seeing this. I don't know. Actually, I'm being facetious. I don't know if it's actually going to happen or not. It would be interesting. It would be. I highly doubt it. But it would be interesting. That's my personal take.
That there's more and more consensus that Disney is going to wipe those 3 movies from canon.
I don't think that's going to happen either. I'm not going to dispute
enough time that's going to go by to where they might not wipe it from canon, but they're going to they're going to move on. I think Mandalorian kind of proved that, right?
We will see. We will see. Like the same with WandaVision. We will eventually see. But I mean, no movies have made what those 3 movies have made. Right? Those 3 movies have made more money than
MCU,
any Star Wars movie. Huh?
Oh, but not greater than like the MCU though. Like the MCU has made more billion.
We're talking about Star Wars, man.
No, I get that. I'm just saying, yes,
stay with
me. More money than. I wonder if for inflation though.
I'm talking about within the franchise though.
No, I know,
don't get meta. Stay focused. Like narrowcast.
I'm wondering if it's if you account for inflation, did it make more than all the rest of them, or is it? Or is it just
but I mean, we're not going to do that because that involves math and stuff like that. We don't want to do that. Okay,
well, let's find out,
in the years that followed, there were very few updates about the status of the project. In 2018, Johnson revealed that he was still in the early stages of the developing process, as he admitted that he was at the very beginning of figuring out what this new thing, which he's talking about his trilogy, he's referring to it as this new thing, could actually be. So he's still, as of 3 years ago, at this point, he still has no idea.
Which trilogy is coming first, the Ryan Johnson trilogy or the Game of Thrones creators trilogy?
I'm not taking the bait. I'm not hungry, so I'm not going to take the bait. He also confirmed that he would.
I heard they're all collaborating on one new trilogy. All 3 of them are just.
He also confirmed that he wouldn't allow the outrage over episode 8 to influence his vision for the upcoming movies. Rumors then speculated. Excuse me, I read that wrong. Rumors that circulated in 2019 suggesting Ryan Johnson had abandoned the Star Wars franchise. However, Johnson swiftly confirmed on Twitter, the good old Twitter. Every time it's Twitter. Every time.
Oh, yeah.
He swiftly confirmed on Twitter that he hadn't departed the project with Disney and Lucasfilm. Later on that year, he even hinted about some of his plans for the new Star Wars trilogy, reaffirming that it would be moving beyond the legacy characters and find a new direction. But for the most part, the news of the project has remained dormant. I don't think this is happening.
Yeah.
I just think it's one of those PR situations.
What's his endgame for announcing that?
Because he probably will want to continue to do business with the most, with the mega amalgamated monster that is Disney, right? He's still gonna, so he's not gonna be like, no, they fired me, took my trilogy away, those bastards. Thank God for Knives Out. I'm gonna do Knives Out 10. I'm gonna keep doing Knives Out for the rest of. He's not gonna do that. He's gonna be like, yeah, man, I'm open to it. We're still doing it. Everything's still going. Disney's still loving Star Wars. It's still, there's nothing to see here, and that's like a PR stunt.
Yeah,
but I mean.
Yeah,
I mean, they would make. I mean, it would have been part of their business, model from that. What was that? The thing.
I'm still working on an as of yet untitled MCU film. I am.
You are.
Yeah,
it's
not titled yet.
Untitled.
We don't know who's in it.
Ungreenlit.
We don't know who's in it. We don't even know if I'm actually allowed to do it, as I have no contracts signed to do it.
And you're not a director. You're also not a director.
No, I'd have to find a director. It's okay. I'd have to find one. But I'm still in it. It could happen. Don't mistake the Batman shirt that I'm wearing to throw you off the scent. I'm actually
right. You are loyal to the Marvel situation. Or I'm dropping. Right? You are.
Yeah. Second hint here. What else?
Okay.
What else is happening in the Rogue Rage?
Did you know that the season 4 of Stranger Things is going to be the darkest season yet? Did you know that?
Love that. That's great.
Did you?
I
mean,
that's
what
gonna be a black screen the whole time. It's gonna be.
It's going to be so dark
with voices.
They recast everybody. They recast everyone with African American actors, and that's what they. I could say that. I'm not in trouble. I'm not in trouble. I'm not in trouble for saying that. I'm good. According to Series Star, no, you're not. According to Series Star film,
they will come at me.
Finn Wolford.
I don't know who they are.
Are you gonna let me do this?
You're gonna cost me my MCU movie now. Is what's gonna happen.
You're the one still talking, monkey. You should just stop talking. It's not my fault. He just kept talking, Your Honor. I didn't say anything about it. According to series star Finn Wolford, Stranger Things season 4 is going to be the darkest season ever made. The Stranger Things, one of Netflix's biggest hits, will eventually unleash its 4th season upon the world. And what can we expect from this season when it gets here? Something dark, of course. Finn Wolford, who plays Mike Wheeler on the show, said, "Every season it gets darker." So I guess, all right, good work, Finn. I will say, with season 3, I was like, this is the darkest season there has ever been. We had exploding rats and everything, but really, season 4 so far is the darkest season that's ever been. Every year, it gets amped up. Every year it gets funnier, darker, sadder, and everything. I am so excited for everyone to see it. He's excited. He's hoping that this blows the roof off the last season, whatever. Yeah, no one's gonna watch it. You're not gonna watch it because as soon as the trailer's gonna come out, you're gonna be like, "I have Stranger Things fatigue." And I'm not gonna watch
Actually, don't. I am resurgent after last season.
You
Stranger
resurgent?
Things is a comeback story for me, and I'm very excited. I'm very excited.
Oh, really? Oh, so you're more excited for that than Zack Snyder being able to redo his.
We could do a Twitter poll right now. What are you more excited for, Stranger Things 4 or Snyder?
No, I'm not. I wouldn't. I don't care about Twitter polls or people, in general. So that's not going to work for me. Season 3 went to some very dark places. It even appeared to kill off fan favorite character Hopper, played by David Harbour. But Hopper's death was almost immediately walked back in a not so cryptic after credit scene.
Which I'm kind of, look, I'm kind of happy about, right? Like it wasn't one of those like Dallas things where they're just, we got to wait a whole.
See, what sucked about that?
For the answer we already know.
No, what sucked about that? I was one of the few people who was like, it's probably not Hopper, right? They're going to make us think that's Hopper, right? That's what they're trying to do. And we're all going to say that's Hopper. They gave it away, that's Hopper. But I know, Hassan knows that's not Hopper. That's something completely different. And then the teaser trailer came out. I was like, damn it, it's Hopper. Like, I was happy it was Hopper. But I was like, God damn it, it's Hopper. Good thing I didn't say it on the air or anything like that. Like I didn't.
We are a culture of impatience. And Stranger Things producers kind of realize that.
We just established I am not one of those people because I can wait for the end of Wandavision. Unlike yourself, who wants to know if everything is Mephisto.
That
and in the article, and the character was confirmed to still be alive in the season 4 trailer. Or teaser, excuse me. Hey, but Hopper isn't exactly out of the woods yet. He's stuck in a prison camp in Kamchatka, Russia. Try to say that name. I had to.
It's so easy being in the first chair now, isn't it?
I called you that. Hey, I'm doing better than you. I had to put that. I had to asterisk that out just to make sure that I pronounced it correctly. I did it. I did a lot of prep work. I did it.
I love it. No, and I love it. And then that, you know what? As your first official Rogue Rage, I think you did fantastic. I think that is a fantastic. We're gonna give a show of hands. I'm gonna clap. I'm not even being sarcastic. I think it was fantastic.
You're being facetious and dickish.
No, I'm actually just trying to wrap it up because we got our guest coming on next, and
Don't care about the guest, man. Oh. You're taking my thunder away here, man. You're ruining everything.
That was our Road Rage segment. What do you
wait? Here's a question. I do have to ask you a question.
Oh, please do.
Do you think season 4 is going to be darker? Is that what you think? Do you believe
I think that
it
is
will
just
be a
something that
season?
Typically people say when they're not allowed to say anything specific. but they can comment on the tone of it, right?
Right. That's like what you say about your next child. My next child will be darker than my last child.
I don't think I've ever said that. In fact, it'll probably be whiter than my last child.
See where you went with it? See where you went? See where you went?
I will literally tell you, I ain't having any more kids. So that answers that question. Right
yeah. Everybody says that. Everybody says that.
What do you guys think? Do you think Stranger Things 4 is going to be the darkest season ever? Do you think that
I know someone with 5 kids who said they were going to stop at 2.
Doing a Star Wars trilogy? Do you think Hassan did a great job doing Rogue Rage?
And do you think
all those
Hassan
questions
cares what you think about whether Hassan did a great job or no?
Will be answered in the chat. Because coming up next, we have Time Trader backer, super backer, Matthew Garnett. He's going to talk about his inspirational story, and he's also going to show us where we can do some good in the world. And I appreciate that when we come back. Previously on Rogue Wave. With a cape. No, anything. Yeah. Cape is always crazy. Cape is always crazy. Look, there are clowns walking the streets right now.
Right now.
There is no one dressed in a cape. Rogue Wave Podcast, the frequency for all things pop culture and the disruptors behind it. Streaming every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook.com/Rogue Wave Podcast, and available immediately following the live stream wherever major podcasts can be found. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave Podcast. Happy to be joined by Mr. Matt Garnett, our Time Trader super backer. So we ran a Kickstarter on Rogue Matter for Time Trader, issues 1 and 2. And one of those wonderful rewards that you could get was to be a guest on the show. Matt and I know each other, obviously, beyond just this, which is always a pleasure. But happy to have you on, sir. How you doing?
I'm great. Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
Yeah, and certain people, when we have guests on the show, we like to do things around stuff that people are promoting, or if they have a movie coming out, we've had movie stars on, if we've had TV shows, we've had different people on, comic book stars, Kickstarter people, they're always promoting books. It's fun to have someone who's not necessarily promoting a creative project on, but you have something that you would love to just let the world and let our audience kind of know about, and it kind of will tie into where our discussion will go, which is the Susan Fund, correct?
Yeah, that's right. So I sit on the board of the Susan Fund, which is a fantastic local organization here in Westport. We raise money and give money to kids that have had cancer, scholarship money for college. So far, I think we've given away over close to $2 million. Over the life of the fund. And the best part is meeting these kids year after year and seeing them progress. And we've had kids that we've given scholarships to not only for their undergrad, but all the way through med school. So it's a fantastic local organization. It's here's the plug, thesusanfund.org. So it's fantastic, and it's really a delight to be involved in such a fantastic organization.
Yeah, and we've got the URL up on screen as well too, so definitely check that out, and we'll flash the URL again when we wrap it up. Now, this is obviously this has a very personal connection for you growing up. Why don't you tell our audience a little bit about what you kind of experienced when you were a kid, and also kind of tying it into the comic book world that we deal with, and how comics became kind of an anchor for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a 40-year cancer survivor. This is a big year for me. So I was diagnosed. It was July 17th, 40 years ago. And I remember that because sadly it was my mom's birthday. So I was diagnosed, and I went through chemo and radiation. We actually were living in London at the time. We flew back because the best treatment in the world was in the United States. And I was at Memorial Sloan Kettering. I was never an inpatient, but the tie-in to the comic books is it was So this is a long time ago. Think 40 years ago in terms of cancer treatment. So when I'd go to get
that was
chemo,
Stranger Things time.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Good tie in there. I like it. So we when I'd go for the treatments weren't like an hour. They were a whole day.
Wow.
So you'd have the IV in your arm for the whole day, and you'd be basically watching the paint dry on the walls. And this is, they didn't really have TVs like they do now. They didn't have the kids have devices and can watch and stream whatever they want. So one of the things that was really, really cool is Marvel and DC used to give complimentary copies of their books for the kids, so the kids could, read the books. And so I remember one of the first ones. You and I talked about this last time we talked, Mike. One of the complimentary copies that is stamped on my brain is the X-Men when Arcade is the villain.
Yeah.
So what was that? I don't know.
108, something like that. But yeah, it's. I remember that too.
Yeah. And so for me, being a kid that was obviously going through some very bad times, it was a fantastic escape for me. So I was able to, even though I was sitting in a hospital, feeling nauseous, having basically poison pumped into me, to cure the cancer. I could escape for hours at a time in my brain by reading these comic books and by putting myself somewhere else. And it started a lifelong journey of comic books.
Did you were you more of a Marvel guy or a DC guy when you were sitting in that chair, or were you just happy to have comics?
I was just happy to have comics, but I was definitely more of a Marvel guy. So, so getting into kind of the collection part of it, I was a Marvel guy mostly, and then kind of later when I had money. And I'm not talking big money, but I went and not only did I go back and collect kind of the back catalog of my favorite Marvels, I started to do the same for Batman and Superman.
Yeah.
So and then I got into Crisis on Infinite Earths. I really remember the Secret Wars 1 and 2 and all the tie-ins and all the cool stuff that Marvel was doing at the time. Yeah. I mean, it was really groundbreaking.
Yeah, no, that's it. You know what? You picked a good time to be getting into comics too, because the 80s and 90s, that was obviously Hassan and I. That's our favorite, time period. Although the 2000s, amazingly enough, kicked back. I think a lot of the old school love that I had for it, but in new and different ways. They were telling different stories. It was the age of the writer, and I think looking back, especially just even comparatively, I think is in many ways just as strong as that time period. Now, I've asked this question of many people, but I wonder if it has a different meaning for you. When you were a kid, what superpower did you wish you had? And I asked that because I think it's interesting to see. Maybe your answer is influenced by what you went through, and maybe it's not.
I wanted to be Wolverine.
Yeah.
And the answer is just very obvious.
Yeah.
I wanted the super healing powers.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to be sick anymore. And as a kid, no one likes being different. I mean, none of us do. None of us do. And so to be, I moved back. I shared this a little bit with you, Mike, before, but to move back from London, and to be in third grade with a British accent and bald.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you just want to be normal. And so for me, looking at Wolverine, it's like, God, I wanted the super healing powers so I could get back to whatever normalcy that I I could have.
Yeah.
You know. So I mean, it seems like the obvious answer, but it's really
no. It
truth.
might not be. It might not be Superman. You know, you would think you're Superman because you're indestructible, and maybe you know, there's so many different. You know, it's funny. It really is a psychological study almost, right? Like almost like an ink blot test. Like we asked Kevin Bacon that, and he said he would love invisibility, and it's interesting for someone who's so visible. To be like, that's the power I wish I had. You know, that's a, you know, it speaks to where you were. How many years cancer free are you now?
I'm so they told me that I was cured in about 1983.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so you know, it's a weird thing. So you go through the treatment, but they're not going to say you're cured.
Yeah.
Until about 4 or 5 years out. They just because at the time they didn't know.
Yeah.
You know.
And how different, you know, just for me, I thank God I haven't had to experience it, but like how different is it just to you know, when you're doing your checkups just to see the different, you know, how much things have changed, how acutely are they able to kind of know, you know, that everything is still good and in remission and everything?
Well, so the likelihood of me having cancer is about 2 times the likelihood of you getting cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's statistically insignificant.
Okay.
So if there's like a 1 in 5 million chance of you getting it, I'm a 2 in 5 million.
Okay.
So I don't, you know, I'm a firm believer that what you think about is what expands in your life. So quite frankly, I don't think about it. The couple things that I do in my life to acknowledge that is I sit on the board of the Susan Fund.
Yeah.
And we get to meet these wonderful kids and give money to them. I was also a recipient when I was going to college of the Susan Fund. So it's a way for me to kind of acknowledge that part of my life and then to give to people going forward. And you know, we have some great kids, and it's really worth checking out the website. So there's that I do, and then the other thing that I do in pre-pandemic times is the Connecticut Challenge has the bike ride.
Oh, right, okay.
So my father and I, my dad, who's shout out to my dad, 75 years old, he'd do the 25-mile ride with me.
Nice.
And we did that, I think, for 7 or 8 years running. And I think over that period of time, just my dad and I, and actually one of my dad's buddies, Peter Flato, also rode with us. And I think in that period of time, we raised probably about, I don't know the number, but it was over $40,000.
That's great.
And the Connecticut Challenge runs the Mission, which is a center for people that have had cancer somehow impact their lives. It's fantastic. That's another organization that's it's up in Southport.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
No, that's fantastic. Well, we're happy that you're cancer free, and we're also happy that you know, obviously
something mute.
Oh no, I can still hear you.
I can't hear you.
Uh-oh. So real quick before we let you go, I want to ask a question. How much do you think your love of comics has influenced, like what is, your love of comics, how is that when you're watching all this stuff on TV and movies? Like, are you brought back to a childhood again when you're seing like the MCU or you're watching Wandavision or anything like that? Like, you know, how much does a dream come true?
So I was waiting for the technology to catch up, you know, because like in my mind, like I'm thinking, you know, like the X-Men arc, the Days of Future Past, you know, when it fast forwards in time and the Sentinels have, you know, clobbered, and like in my mind, I'm thinking about all that, and then you get to see glimpses of that on the screen, and it's like, holy moly, you know, I mean, it's amazing, you know, and you know, something else that I'll say about that time with comic books is, you know, I think we've talked about it. I think a lot of people think of comic books as kind of lowbrow.
Yeah.
You know, but
that was what it was for sure.
Yeah, but I see it in a very different way. I remember the first time that I saw the word Armageddon.
Yeah.
It was on X-Men, forget which one, maybe 108, 109, and it said Armageddon now. And I had no idea what Armageddon meant. So what did I do? I went down. So you got to remember when it was. So this is the early 80s. So in our house, we had a dictionary and we had an encyclopedia that some traveling sales dude, sold to my parents. And so, I had to pull the dictionary, which was the size of, Texas, out, open it up and look at it and find out what that word meant. So I have a lot of the vocabulary that I have actually came from comic books.
Yeah.
So I look at it as, a way that you can kind of go off in your head and kind of be somewhere else. But I also think in the very real world implications for me, where I got a lot of my vocabulary, a lot of times seeing a word for the first time and going, what's that?
Yeah.
And so, it opened up, curiosity for me as well.
Well, it's definitely changed the public perception of what, comics and graphic novels, are in terms of a learning tool, in terms of, just a form of entertainment. I mean, we kid all the time, conventions, comic book conventions, used to be you used to have your typical comic book fans. And now, I mean, it's blown up to the mainstream. So, well, Matt, let me thank you for coming on the show. We're going to flash that URL one more time. If you want to just talk about the Susan Fund again, real quick, and just where people can donate and what it goes to, that would be fantastic.
So the Susan Fund is a local organization. It was started in the early 80s. We give scholarships to kids who have had cancer. About 98% of everything that we bring in actually goes to scholarships.
That's great.
So it's a fantastic organization, great way to give back, great local organization. I wish we had longer because I could tell you about the comic conventions of the early 80s.
Well, you were also a Sire backer, and you went with that same reward. So we're going to have you on again in a few months. So we will wax nostalgic about comic conventions in the 80s, because I could only imagine.
Awesome.
I can only imagine the difference. I mean, the difference between my first comic convention in 2001 versus what comic conventions were pre-pandemic, I can only imagine. So, Matt, thank you so much for joining us. And again, check out that URL, thesusanfund.org. And that is our show. I want to thank Matt. I want to thank Hassan for doing Rogue Rage. Very, very good. I'm very, very big claps and thumbs up. And next week is our 50th episode extravaganza. We will see you guys next week.
Rogue Wave.